thing I was thinking recently was Call of Duty going open world. And the reason that that's even a conversation is because some of the leaks that came out regarding Black Ops 7 and its plot and what the missions are going to be and stuff like that. There was a big leak a few days ago. We covered it here on the channel. We covered the campaign parts at least. And we don't really know if the leaker is to be believed or if it's accurate or if it was just somebody trying to get attention. We really don't know. He could be right on the money for all we know. But according to the leaks, there was going to be an open world map. Now, an open world map would suggest that the game might be open world, right? Okay, so how would that work in a Call of Duty setting? And that's something that I've been thinking about for a few days because it's not the first time that Call of Duty plays around with the idea of potentially going open world. A few years ago, I remember hearing that Call of Duty wanted to incorporate something like Far Cry. They wanted to go the open world route and do something like that. Now, is that to make the games longer? Is that to go and try something new to maybe bring some new life into the series or things like that? Potentially. But when you think of an open world game, you might think GTA or Cyberpunk or something like that. It's like the world is massive. There's a lot of points to get to in terms of missions, in terms of side missions, in terms of random encounters and things like that. When you play a Far Cry game, now I haven't played too many Far Cry games, but when you play one, that's kind of what it is. It's a first-person shooter where you're usually free in this big-ass island to do quests, to do missions, and you have random encounters, and you ride cars, and you do a lot of these different things. That's what an open world game is. So when Call of Duty says that they want to potentially do open world, that's kind of what I imagine. Now, I don't imagine something like Uncharted. You remember that big scene where they were kind of riding around in a big desert, and that felt like more open world. It wasn't open world, but it was like a big sandbox type of thing. And so that's what I think maybe they mean when they talk about open world, because I don't think that Call of Duty could ever really go open world, because what would that entail? Would you be a random soldier? Would you be a certain soldier with a name or something like that? And then you have to go where? To different military bases, meet up random people to go on operations? Would you have a hub, like a home, like a military base? How would this story work if it was quote unquote actually open world? And I don't know, it just kind of gets me thinking, like, how could we really do that? Now, the leak says that it's going to have an open world map entitled Avalon. Does that mean that we're going to have linear missions, and then when we get to a certain mission titled potentially Avalon, is that mission going to be open world only? How does that work? You see kind of what I'm saying? Like, I'm not questioning the validity of the leak. I'm just questioning if Call of Duty were to ever go into the open world genre, how does it work? What kind of game are we going to have? Is it even possible? I personally don't think it's possible, because Call of Duty, when they talk about the campaigns or when they make campaigns, they're never longer than 7 hours. Like, if you get a full 7-hour campaign from Call of Duty nowadays, you're very fortunate, because that is not the norm. They're usually like 6 or 5 hours, 4 hours. That's how long their campaigns are. And maybe it's because that's the longest story they're able to tell, or because they don't care that much about the campaign. And if we're really serious with ourselves, if we're really honest with ourselves, Call of Duty isn't a game that is all that in love with story mode or campaign anymore. They kind of just do whatever they want to do. And the writers and the things like that, they kind of just try to latch on to what happened in the past and try to expand on it. Well, we have Modern Warfare. Let's remaster this. Let's basically do the same missions and introduce the same characters and kind of introduce the same stakes, and let's redo it with Modern Warfare. For Black Ops, let's just continue the old story that we've been continuing for 10 years, 15 years, whatever. Somebody commented the other day that Activision, or Treyarch has been working on Black Ops games since 2008 when World at War released. That is ridiculous. That is well over 10 years. 15 years or so that they've been working, or 17 years actually, that they've been working on only Black Ops. So they just kind of continue to do the same thing over and over again. What I'm trying to say is, like, there's not that much creativity when it comes to these games. And sometimes that's fine. Maybe we just want a military type of first-person shooter that is up to date, that has the latest technology, that creates cool set pieces, that includes semi-engaging stories with, cool characters and things like that. Maybe that's enough. And maybe that's all they can give. But if they want to do open world type of stuff, then I'm expecting like a 20-25 hour game. And if you're saying, like, that's ridiculous, that's too much, okay, then give me a 15-hour game. Give me a 15-hour campaign, a 15-hour story mode where I get to play as a potentially random soldier or a soldier with a name, and we're going out finding different operations to do, chasing this big mystery or this big conspiracy, or trying to stop a terrorist terrorist or trying to stop a bomb from going off or trying to save somebody. Give me these types of things to do where I can customize my character, I can customize my armor, I can customize my gear, I can customize my weapons, I can customize maybe a vehicle that I may have. Give me a hub where I'm able to relax and kind of get some downtime and mess around and then go on ops. Give it to me like that. You have to wrap it up in a real type of open world game. You know, you can't half-ass it. You can't give me a little bit of this and a little bit of that and just call it a day. I think Call of Duty tested the waters with open combat missions. And to be quite honest, they were fucking terrible, especially in Modern Warfare 3. Now, in Modern Warfare 3, there wasn't enough development time. They were rushed. You know, the game came out when it wasn't supposed to come out. And so I understand that the open combat missions weren't the best. But we were told that in Black Ops 6, the open combat missions were going to be way better and that they had been working on this game for, 6 years or something. And so they were going to introduce something really cool that we hadn't seen before and all this stuff. We believed them. We got to play the game. We got to play the open combat missions. Did they feel better than Modern Warfare 3? Of course they did. But the bar wasn't really that high. It wasn't like such a great thing that they did. We already knew that anything that they gave us with a little bit more love was going to be better. So they were better, but they still felt flat. They felt they didn't have any stakes. They felt like I was still just a soldier by myself without a team, kind of doing operations alone. And I don't know about you guys, but when I play a Call of Duty game, that's not what I want. It's maybe 1 or 2 or 3 missions out of the 12, 13, 14 missions that we should get. We're alone doing something in a bigger type of map and we kind of got to navigate. Like, I get that. But for the most part, I want missions where we are part of a team, part of a squad, part of a 3-man team, a 2-man team, and we're handling things together, because that is Call of Duty. That is the war aspect. That is the teamwork aspect. That's what I want. So if you do an open world, am I going to feel like I'm by myself? Because usually you're by yourself. In these games, you're by yourself for the most part. How do you make a Call of Duty game engaging, an open world game, for at least 15 hours? Because if you're not going to give me at least 15 hours, then why the fuck are you making it open world? Because what's the point? Truly, what is the point? I'm not getting anything of substance. You cannot give me Call of Duty open world game that's 5 hours long. It would be absolutely ridiculous. You would have to have a good 14 to 15 to 17 missions with a few side missions, not 1, not 2 bullshit missions. No, like a good 6, 7, 8 side missions. And you would have to have like 5 to 10 random encounters. You get what I'm saying? Like, you see how big and massive the game is already starting to sound? And you guys, knowing what you know, with Call of Duty, with the direction that they're going, with the writers, and not just Black Ops, not just Modern Warfare, but both franchises and maybe any other franchises that come out of it. Knowing what you know about the teams, do you think they could deliver a game like that? A true open world game? A true game that really dives into the nitty gritty and tries something new and innovates and takes risk and takes chances? I don't see it happening. And with the success of Verdansk again, with Warzone, I really don't see it happening, because now they don't have an incentive to really take risks. We've talked about this before in the past. They cannot really kill a character and keep them dead because they have a cash flow that they need to continue to maintain for Warzone. So if we play, let's say, Black Ops 7 and they kill David Mason in the story, or they kill this other character, the character is probably going to be brought back in one way or another for the Warzone story, whether it's a flashback, whether there's some weird revival thing, because they want to sell the David Mason skin. And if we go on to Modern Warfare and they have like an open world Modern Warfare game, if they finally kill Captain Price and they kill Ghost, they're going to bring them back in Warzone because they're going to use them as a flashback or a story content or something like that, because they need to do it. So again, if you have Warzone, that holds Call of Duty back as well. Because if you have an open world game where the story is like the main part and it's the meat of the game and what's bringing you back, well, then Call of Duty can't continue their cinematic stories in Warzone. They have to actually end the campaign where the campaign ends. We wouldn't want to see the story mode anymore in Warzone, but then how do you incorporate that? Like, you would basically have to make Warzone stories not canon or do something differently. And you see how it's way too much. Too much is going on. It just already feels like it's going to be a failure. It doesn't feel like it would be a success. And so I don't know. Are the leaks about Black Ops 7 being potentially open world or having an open world map accurate? Probably not. And let's put it on the back burner for now. Do you ever see Call of Duty going the open world route? To be quite frank, I don't see it. But I know that they flirted with the idea before. So who knows? Maybe they'll try it out. And maybe we'll be surprised, or maybe we'll be disappointed.